Now you...
Yeah. Hello, I'm Steve Rebillard for ABC Sport. We're in Hamilton, in the middle of the North Island of New Zealand, and the venue is the appropriately named Mystery Creek, because there are certainly some imponderables about this match. The Australians come in with limited preparation, and without their long-time centre and vice-captain Carissa Toms. The Kiwis have a new coach in Yvonne Willering, a new captain in Bernice Menny, but they'd love nothing more than to do what the All Blacks did to Australia last Saturday night in Melbourne. Joining me in commentary, Sue Hawkins. Sue, how do you see this one going?
With the loss of Carissa, we'll be a little bit vulnerable in that centre court, but we've got Shelley O'Donnell and Katrina Wagg, who are very experienced international players, so they should fulfil that role fairly quickly and fairly easily. The Kiwis, they'll need to close down the Australians early, they'll need to jam them up in the centre court and put a lot of pressure over that ball early in the game.
And the Australians are invited onto the court first before a packed venue at Mystery Creek. Vicky Wilson leads them on, and they're given a warm reception by a New Zealand netball crowd that loves their sport. 5,500 here, and we've had news that this is the biggest crowd indoors ever to watch a sport event in New Zealand. They don't have a lot of big venues. This one, just outside Hamilton, breaks the record tonight. The flags are initially lowered. And out come the Silver Ferns, led by Bernice Menny, to thunderous applause. And fireworks, if you don't mind. Sue, we don't often get an atmosphere like this at netball in Australia. The Kiwis should be proud of this.
Oh, they've done a great job so far, and the excitement in the crowd is just tremendous.
There's a new coach, Yvonne Willering. A nervous day for her. I spoke to her this morning, and she was feeling pretty toey, she admitted. A great player for her country in the 70s and early 80s. And we'll stand by for the national anthems. The Australian anthem to be sung by Chris Powley from Auckland. It's the Australian doctor Sue White, physio Annabelle Wilson, manager Bronwyn Roberts, and coach Jill McIntosh. Small but enthusiastic troop has made their way across the Tasman to cheer the Aussies, but they're heavily outnumbered, I can tell you.
New Zealand national anthem. New Zealand singer Regan Kane.
God of nations, at thy feet, in the bonds of love we meet. Hear our voices, we entreat. God defend
And there's been plenty of speculation in the last couple of days about how the teams might line up. They exchange gifts as they usually do. Jan McKercher on the left, Maureen Boyle from Australia on the right. So one from each country. Jan McKercher from Southland, Maureen Boyle from Sydney. And the lineups, well, Loughagan playing just a second test is marked by Ellis, and Colling opposes Harvey. New Zealand have also rejigged their mid-court. Tarua Barnett, Dawson and Nicol haven't played Australia in that configuration. Many in Cox, no surprise. Borlase has kept Cusack out of goal attack. Wag gets the start at wing attack. McInnes, O'Donnell and Wilson take their expected positions. So a couple of surprises there, Sue.
Well, yes, we've got Jenny Borlase in the goal attack position, which we were both quite surprised that it wasn't Nicole Cusack. But, you know, Jenny has got the experience and she'll do a good job.
So Borlase in, and her consistency rewarded. And you can expect this crowd to make plenty of noise tonight. It's a cool evening in Hamilton, which is the most inland city in New Zealand, furthest from the coast. Is that a better way to put it? Kath Harvey and Liz Ellis to look after a much less experienced pair in Loughagan and Colling. Just 4 tests between them. But Loughagan at 19 and Colling at 21. They've got cool heads on pretty young shoulders, I think. Loughagan, Tanya Cox. She knows Vicky Wilson well. It might be the last time they smile at each other for a while. But here we go. Julie Dawson with the first centre pass. It looks like New Zealand possession. But a little dampness on the court. And Dawson gets a clean first pass away. And it's with Loughagan. Back out to Tarua Barnett. And we've not seen Tarua Barnett play wing attack. She has played a little this year, though. And Loughagan gets the Kiwis away.
Well, I think that's what we'll see with the Kiwis in the first couple of minutes. Some quick ball handling and get the ball away really fast off their defenders.
O'Donnell. Back to McInnes. Having to be patient with their first trip to the circle, Australia. Wag. O'Donnell.
This is the early pressure that we really need to see New Zealand run with for the whole game.
I really think they're pumped for this one. Change of coach. I feel a little for the way it happened to Leibs. But the deed having been done and Yvonne Willering put in the position, I'll be very surprised if this team doesn't respond to it. Last time they met, Australia by 11 goals, November last year.
Contact, wing defence.
One against Nicol. Straight to Borlase.
A good reject by Catherine, by Cox in the circle.
And Bernice Meddy from behind. Great start from the Silver Ferns. Tarua Barnett. Colling. Now a turnover the other way. Harvey has it blocked. McInnes first to it. There are hands over everything, Sue.
Well, I mean, that's what they need to do from the word go, and they certainly have. You'll see them trying to box up the top of the circle and inside the circle.
Wilson. So 1-1 after a couple of minutes. The electronic scoreboard here is not working, so we'll take our cues from on screen.
Well, we've seen Loughagan open up that baseline twice so far, so Lizzie Ellis will really need to close that down.
New Zealand by 1. Borlase.
Contact of the ball, goal defence.
Many out of play. Borlase. Tarua Barnett. Loughagan.
A very confident start by the New Zealand goal shooter.
Right back.
Now ready for the centre pass, and Wag accepts it. O'Donnell again. What? Borlase didn't know it was coming. Waitamanu who is assisting Yvonne Willering. Australian netball fans will remember Waitamanu as the captain of the 91 Silver Ferns that went down to Australia in the world titles.
New Zealand.
Yvonne Willering applauding Australia's goal. There must be nerves coming out, I think, Sue.
I think she's actually applauding her own defenders.
More probably. Tarua Barnett, she's a good mover, quick hands. Really suited to the wing attack position, I think. But Ellis picks one off. Ellis. Wag. Harvey.
Contact, ball attack.
Colling. Contact, but Many having a great match. Harvey makes amends. Sets Borlase going again. Wilson drives along the baseline. O'Donnell. Well, they've got problems here with Cox and Many, who are so tall and so long in the arms.
That's right, and they've also had a couple of forced throws by O'Donnell. She really needs to settle and just play it around until she gets a secure pass in.
Contact, ball defender. Pass, obstruction, goalkeeper.
So they're both out. Crowd doesn't like it.
Both out.
So Australia hits the lead and has the centre pass. Borlase shooting over Cox.
A little bit of nerves in the attack end of the Australians in the first couple of minutes.
McInnes working on Tarua Barnett. Many has to go back. Good pressure from the Australians in mid-court. Nicol, Dawson. Nicol, of course, has lost the captaincy. Colling. It's short, and Ellis has the height advantage in that circle. And certainly the vertical leap advantage. Borlase.
Contact, shooter, far side.
The crowd wanting the advantage to be played, but I think with Bernice Many taking that tumble there, she's entitled to recall it.
Call time, please. On the whistle.
The court tidied up once more. It's 4-3 Australia. Goals hard to come by in this torrid first quarter. Ellis left to mark two.
Kat Harvey's got to be very careful of drifting off and not doing her job early on her player.
Manage break, roll attack.
Dawson to Many. Nicol.
Good pressure over the ball by the Australian attack end.
Into Colling. And Lofhagen there. Wag. New Zealand back in front. A lot of whistle at either end of the court.
We've got both defenders really holding back and trying to upset Vicky in that circle, and we need to get Borlase into the game very early, into the circle.
Dawson. Lofhagen. Taru. And here's one against Harvey. In the circle, so Lofhagen with the shot.
Well, she's looking like she's been out there many times.
And it's only been the once at this level.
Not in the right area.
Cox saw that coming. Colling.
Obstruction.
Well, Tanya Cox really setting the crowd alight here. Been working on a slightly tender ankle all week. O'Donnell. Australians having trouble getting it down court, Sue.
Well, you'll see the New Zealand's, they're just holding out off their players slightly, and gives the appearance that there is lots of space down the court. But the actual defender comes in from behind.
New Zealand.
American making no mistake of that goal.
McIntosh and Cusack there looking concerned, as they might. 6-all. Held ball against the Kiwis. Wag. Australians with a chance to hit the front here. O'Donnell, not seen this kind of pressure. South Africa not capable of this kind of netball, Sue. This is a different kettle of fish here.
Absolutely, and there's no denying the Silver Ferns certainly came out here with a different attitude. Sharp, confident and direct to the ball.
Dawson. Across for Tarua Barnett, driving the baseline. Both the Kiwis at once. So a little misunderstanding there, unfortunate.
Looking down, you'll see a bit of indecisiveness between the two goalers, a bit of misunderstanding there.
But they've got it back. Well, maybe. Toss up. McKercher sets it. It's Harvey. And wing attack. Tarua Barnett. And it goes against Harvey.
As she actually took the ball, then she actually pushed away.
So she won the contest cleanly initially. Colling for the lead. A little shot there of Joan Hodson, the reserve umpire for tonight, and she's a fairly recent Silver Fern, has played against Australia in the 90s. Contact against Borlase.
There's not much space down that attack end. They really probably need to open up the other side of the court and swing the ball quickly.
Tarua Barnett, and the Australians looking a little lost just at the moment. Colling doesn't like that range.
Over there, please.
So it's to be taken from outside the circle.
Contact goal to fit inside.
Against Ellis. And she takes the rebound, as she so often does. Well, can Australia get something fluent going here? As they're really struggling at the moment.
They've got Vicky Wilson out there trying to get a little bit of movement outside the circle.
Well, the reason that circle, one of the reasons that circle is so crowded is because you've got 4 such big people in there for a start, Sue.
Well, that's right. Cox and Wilson take up a fair share of that space, but once Wilson gets out there and moves, it seems to be opening up space for Borlase.
Wilson and Cox 185 centimetres, Bernice Meni 189.
Keep up contact.
And I don't think Jenny Borlase would have played in many games where she's the shortest player in the circle. It's over 180. Here she is.
Distraction.
And the Australians back in front with a little under 4 minutes to go first quarter. Wag loses the handle. Tarua Barnett. Back to Meni. Dawson. Nickel. Dawson. I think the Silver Ferns find something when they play Australia. In training, they didn't look this fast.
No, but they did look confident.
Well, that's ruled a roll from McKercher. Harvey cleans up. Oh, that's a tough ball for Wag. A few hospital passes going on out there. Tanya Cox wins again. She's having a whale of a first quarter. Hasn't given away a lot of penalties, but has forced some turnovers out of the Aussies.
You'll see Jenny Borlase just stopping on that catch and Cox coming through.
Yep, tap.
And pause for injury to Kath Harvey, and a slight problem also for Colling, is it? I think on the far side too, but quarter time drawing near, and it's been a very even first quarter.
You'll see Catherine Harvey looking a little bit uneasy with the hand being strapped.
So that's Annabelle Wilson right there. Leslie Nicol addressing the troops. And many should be pretty pleased thus far.
The Australians will be trying to work the ball down around the circle more than trying to go through the blocking up of this defenders at the top of the circle.
It's unusual. Colling and Harvey both receiving attention. Well, Colling is more a case of the shoes. Still waiting for Harvey. And it commenced without Harvey being ready, but she's all right now. Too late back into the circle to stop this. Willering says, let's go. And they can take the lead here if they can get it to the circle. Lofhagen.
Been really impressed with the placement of the passes by the Kiwis in the first quarter.
McInnes, Harvey. Silver Ferns would love to go to quarter time in the lead. Australians having a lot of trouble shaking their markers. Ooh. Many had a bit of an accidental swipe at Vicky Wilson. Annabelle Wilson, the physio there in the centre. Nicol, Tarua Barnett. Straight to Harvey, didn't expect that one, but she gratefully accepts it. Oh, McInnes under pressure from Tarua Barnett.
Again, you'll see the defenders just sitting off their players and coming through. When Australia thinks they get the clean pass, the defenders come through from behind.
Wilson leaves it for Wag, gets a decent return ball. And the captain shoots from well out. Oh, Borlase gets the offensive rebound. McIntosh well rugged up, as we all are, I can tell you. Australia by 1. Type of pressure over every pass we haven't seen against Australia for a while. Not since the last time we played New Zealand, I guess.
Yes.
Oh, that's so short. Borlase, a little fortunate to get her own rebound. Not.
You usually know when it comes straight off your fingers whether or not it's going to go in, and it really, you could see that Jenny was up there for the rebound.
Australia with its best lead of the first quarter, and they've shared it throughout the first 15 minutes. Tarua Barnett, oh, that was a pretty physical challenge. And Colling, understandably, looked up at the umpire, nothing given. O'Donnell works the corner. Borlase works in front of Tanya Cox.
That's good pressure by Cox in the circle. She really is. She's making Borlase shoot long.
Contact against Ellis. Crowd didn't like it. Cleaned up Lofhagen. Timekeeper's up. And the Australians will be trying to keep this out of the circle. And that is quarter time. So a topsy-turvy one. The Australians will be pleased with their 2-goal margin at the end of the first 15 minutes. So at quarter time, they go to the benches 11-9. And Australia starts in possession, second quarter. A punch from behind by Cox, not effective. And she's caught for obstruction.
Just there.
So 11-9. That's a quarter time, Sue. What did you make of a rather frantic first quarter?
Well, I thought the Australians, towards the end of that last 5 minutes of that quarter, started to open up the other side of the court, which made the ball just travel a lot quicker and had no problems getting around the defenders.
Lofhagen with the Silver Ferns' first shot of the second quarter, and Australian ball from the back. We mentioned how inexperienced some of these Silver Ferns are. I think the most interesting stat to tell you in regard to that is that Australia's least experienced player, Liz Ellis, as Wilson bags a beauty, has the same number of caps as New Zealand's most experienced player in Bernice Meni, and that's 24.
Double contact. You actually both moved up with the ball.
Wilson's not too happy about that call.
Not too sorry.
Yeah, Wilson went early, no doubt about that. She was a bit cross about it, and temper got the better of her. A bit quick on the draw. McInnes has a dip, misses.
Contact. Card for shots.
Been impressed with the New Zealand passing from the last quarter. Their placement was terrific, and the speed of the ball was a lot faster than I've seen with them.
So a minute and a half gone, second quarter. It's Australia by 3, but Silver Ferns in possession. Meni to Loughagan. Tarua Barnett to Colling. Harvey trying to keep her out of business, but Loughagan drives the base and goals. Willering and Tamanu. Willering invited Waitamanu to be her assistant for this match. It's a caretaker position, Sue, and a spill of positions after this.
The thing about the two coaches is they're so good at defence, and you can see that coming in through with the New Zealanders with this game. Their defence long court is a lot tougher that we've seen.
Contact above the arm, goal third.
McInnes
Goal
contact
third.
on Tarua Barnett.
It's in the goal third.
And has to be set and taken in the right place. Colling back out to Tarua Barnett. And Ellis up ahead of Loughagan. Wag quickly under Bourlays. Oh, and Wilson. Now, I think Tanya Cox thought that was worth the risk because she was on a hiding to nothing there. The New Zealand bench, Tairi there, Linda Blair. Australia has doubled their quarter-time lead, and they're looking more comfortable. Wilson didn't see that coming. I should have shut up.
You can see Shelley O'Donnell getting involved a lot more off the centre pass after she's delivered it.
Oh, that's a great ball to Colling. Harvey couldn't do anything about that. And New Zealand centre pass. Can they answer here? Nickel. Back to Meni. Right knee strap. She's had substantial knee surgery more than once. Harvey!
That's good to pressure by Australian attackers down the court.
Wilson anchors that left foot. Shoots over Meni from long range. Good goal.
You sense a bit of air in Vicky at the moment. She's picked up a few notches in from the last quarter.
Australians resume that 4-goal lead.
With the ball, goal, keep happy on the park.
And now it's 5. That's the biggest lead of the game. And Ordine Cobb and Sarah Sutter, the Adelaide teammates, pretty pleased. They'd love to get a run. More importantly, they'd love to see their team win. The crowd on that side thought it might have gone the other way. Ellis takes it from McInnes. O'Donnell, the Victorian teammates combining.
Contact.
Bit of whistle going against the Silver Ferns, Sue. They're lacking a bit of control.
A little bit of body control at the end of their defence.
Wilson found comfortably. Wag.
Contact.
Bourlays runs towards her. And can shoot.
You'll see Wilson protecting space for other shooter.
Cox regathers. So the turnovers. Australia guilty of 15, but enjoying more possession. So that's unusual because that turnover stat is a negative one.
Earlier on in the first quarter, we saw a lot of ball went off the baseline, and I think that's probably the possession stat that went against us.
Taverner, Delaney, and Cobb. Big collision. Wag and Tanya Cox. Yeah, Meni a little clumsy and late. Bourlays will take the step and shoot, surely. That's fruit for the sideboard, as they say. Sue White and Annabelle Wilson, the Australian Medical Trust there. And the Australians are out to 18-12.
We're seeing a lot more direct passing down court from the Australians instead of looking sideways, which has been far more beneficial to them.
And 19-12. Here's an 8-3 run by Australia. Harvey turns and...
Roll attack, contact.
Harvey quick off the mark, Sue.
Oh, very. She's
Wilson!
good long vision as
Oh!
well.
Sorry, Stuart. That was a monster ball coming down from Harvey, a classic that Australians are used to.
This is a great long pass by Harvey. She's renowned for her long passes.
Well, many had to use all of it, near 189 centimetres to pull that one in. But Australia convert. This is breaking the game open. Jill McIntosh not giving much away. Oh, the Australians noticeably sharper now, Sue.
Definitely, and I think Vicky Wilson coming outside that circle has opened up a lot more opportunity for Jenny Borlase to drive in and just set up a holding shooter position game.
Loughagan.
New Zealand.
Well, that's off McInnes. Tarua Barnett knew it, so she was happy to chaperone it off court. Loughagan. Harvey easily. McInnes. Wag. Good timing on her run. Wilson. Wag.
It's interesting, Steve, we don't have the pressure that we did from New Zealand in the first quarter. And the Australians are just taking the advantage and just running straight down the court.
Well,
we mentioned
in the lead up to the match that the Australians are coming off limited preparation. You think that's a part of it? They're finding each other again now?
Possibly there, Steve. I do think that, you know, the New Zealand pressure has eased off. And that's all it takes for the Australians, just to get a few bit of confidence up.
Well, Vicky Wilson slaps her hands. Not happy with the call. I don't know whether she's disgusted with herself or Jan McKercher, but it's not really an ideal reaction from the Australian captain. O'Donnell. Harvey to Wilson.
Contact, goal defence, turning card.
Wilson. Dawson. Australia by 11. How did that happen? The Kiwis will be asking themselves.
Well, I'm surprised they're not posting up Loughagan like they did in the first quarter, or used her baseline, especially when she was doing most of the damage and most of the shooting.
Colling. Ellis has a go. And that's come off Loughagan.
Pass was there, but the speed of the ball wasn't there.
We just saw Tracy Fear, and that was Lois Muir, wasn't it? A couple of prominent figures in New Zealand netball.
That's right, everyone's out to watch tonight.
Oh, great pull to pick up Borlase. And Wilson, quick enough to beat Cox.
Defending out of court, goal defence, pass or shot. Just there, defence.
One against many. Not a call we hear often, defending out of court, Sue.
No, and I'm surprised that they actually pulled it then, because you had Wilson, who was actually going to the ring in a shooting situation, and it just interfered with it.
Held ball against Australia. Many. Tarua Barnett. McInnes hustles back down court. Has lost track of her opponent for a moment. And Silver Fern's playing better. Loughagan this time. Only their fourth goal of the second quarter, and we've had over 10 minutes of play.
The idea was there, but unfortunately the direction wasn't quite right.
Well, Australia is fortunate to have a defensive back three of McInnes, Harvey and Ellis, because they are really starving their opponents now. Harvey watches that go. Pressure over everything. Ellis now. McInnes, Borlase, a long way from home. Gets back there now. Stuck the hand out, did Leslie Nichol. Ellis came out, left the post unguarded. O'Donnell to Borlase. It's Australia by 10 and maybe 11. The crowd doing their best to lift the home side, Sue, but they don't have the answers in this quarter.
No, not quite. I thought that we just saw New Zealand put a lot more pressure on Australia coming down the court. They need to keep that pressure up again, but equally as good as Australia is their defence.
The Australians defending mightily across that transition line. Yvonne Willering, we know from provincial netball, is very free with the substitutions. I'd be very surprised if she doesn't make a change or three at half-time, positional and substitution-wise.
Definitely, when you're down by a few goals, you can afford to make some changes. Equally, be interesting to see if Jill McIntosh, Australian coach, makes any changes.
O'Donnell, Borlase, Harvey, Wilson. Toss. Here's a mismatch. Shelley O'Donnell at 170 centimetres, cocked at 185. Up she goes. And the aerial skills of Wag win it in the end. Wilson. What did I do, Tanya Cox? What did she do?
I think as Jenny was coming through the baseline, we had a little bit of close off that space. And a little bit of a collision.
There's no such thing as a little bit of a collision with Tanya, is there?
But it's contact, ball attack.
Wag.
Contact, ball attack, penalty pass.
Oh, this whistle is heavily going against. Look at the shooting.
Well, the New Zealand shooting stats has actually dropped a little bit, with the goal attack shooting 42%. The Australians right up there, 94% by Vicky Wilson. Jenny Borlase, 69%. 83% for Australia. Couldn't ask for a better shooting stat.
Contact, wing defence, penalty pass. Hard take, advantage, obstruction, wing.
Tarua Barnett. 90 seconds left, second quarter. And it's the Australians handsomely by 12.
That's a good long shot by
Loughagan. Well, they need to pull more than one back in this last minute or so, if they can. Dawson has the centre pass. This is what New Zealand was guilty of on their last three-test tour of Australia. One bad quarter in each of those three tests. And the game was taken away from them. But they matched Australia for 3 out of the 4. Is it the second quarter that may lose them this match today?
It's certainly a concentration situation with the team. They need to pull together as a team now and just get their confidence together and just start to let the ball go again, which is what they did in the first 5 minutes of that first quarter.
Tarua Barnett to Dawson. To Colling. New Zealand ball. The crowd wanted a penalty. All they've got is possession. Not afraid to boo the umpires, especially Maureen Boyle, who they know is from Australia. Borlase, O'Donnell. Hasn't been down this end for a little while. O'Donnell to Wilson. And the captain put another through. Actually here, these posts and rings, we've noticed, are pretty bouncy, Sue. If you don't get it in cleanly first go.
That's right, it's the first one to the rebound. We'll have the advantage there.
Colling. That's good timing on that one because the timekeeper is up. Won't be any more action. Jan McKercher blows half-time. And even though the Kiwis dragged a couple back, it's Australia by a good margin now at the long break, 26-17. Well, Leslie Nichol is on the bench. The former captain has been dragged. And the new wing defence is Anna Robury. And the new wing attack is Margaret Foster, replacing Nolene Tarua Barnett. They make a good start. There's Tarua Barnett. But that was a 15-8 quarter to Australia, Sue.
Well, I'm surprised that Australia didn't make any changes. You know, it would be a good game for them to get Nick Cusack back into the lineup. I just felt that Vicky Wilson was running outside the ring a lot more, and we had really reverse position of the shooters.
I'm not surprised, Sue, because I thought the message coming from Jill McIntosh during that South African series was that she's very determined to let a combination go fairly well through a match if she can, and having sort of asserted their authority in that second quarter, I wasn't looking for changes, but I take your point. I mean, Cusack, an established member of the Australian 7 before her knee injury, she'd be looking to get her back into this level as soon as she can, Jill McIntosh, but ball lace, drains a good one. So New Zealand, here's Foster. We've seen her in Australia before. It's a while since we've seen her play for New Zealand. Wasn't in the series last year.
She's a very strong defensive player. I've normally seen her in the centre court, and she's a very good feeder.
Breaks on from Borlase. Oh, it's so close to a held ball. Wilson picks up the scraps. Thank you. Everything going Australia's way.
Well, Vicky certainly was the dominant shooter in that last quarter, shooting 12 out of 13 attempts.
Wag. And you just can't buy the kind of experience that Wilson's accumulated over the years. Borlase.
On the arm.
Yeah, on the arm from Tanya Cox. Is
Back where there.
she'll try it. She's been told she can't do it.
New Zealand.
So Jill McIntosh, Cusack there, waiting for her chance. Maybe in the last quarter, if they have a third like they had a second. Wilson has a good go. Fair contest, the umpire ruled. I thought that was the case.
Absolutely. Liz Ellis timed that beautifully. She saw the high ball and just flew out to it.
Distraction centre.
Wilson. And another one from Wilson. And the picture doesn't look any better for New Zealand. Penalties conceded, well, 8 more against New Zealand. And not many of them in possession or on attack. Of course, most of them are in defence.
Well, I think that's just tells you the story about New Zealand and their ploy to really pick up their defensive game.
Throw it in.
Oh, Borlase can't believe it. So, well, if it's not on the arm, it's got to be off Tanya Cox, and I tend to agree. How does she come up with that? Borlase does not send them out of court with an air ball without good reason.
New Zealand throw in.
Yeah, O'Donnell a bit late. But, perhaps that was in response to the bad call from against Borlase.
Play. Comment, Singer Australia, Johnny Park. Goal third.
Foster.
Australia seems to contact. Back, please, New Zealand.
Whoa. I thought Shelley O'Donnell did that deliberately. I'm not sure.
Goal defence.
Might have been just a little bit of frustration there from Shelley O'Donnell.
And Australia have been penalised down the court. And finally, Loughagan goals. That was hard work. Robry,
Contact then.
who was apparently Yvonne Willering's, well, not Yvonne Willering's favourite player. Although she's allegedly been playing well, few expected her to get the start. Well, she's on after half-time.
Well, I think they're trying to also match height a little bit better on Wag.
Break and wing defence. 3
It's Robry a little taller at 170.
Center third.
Oh, she's got to be taller than that.
She's got center third.
Well, I don't think she's any taller than Nicol.
Goalkeeper. Money pass.
That's a beauty. That's got the difference back under 9.
There's a lot of whistle out there at the moment, and I think some of the players are getting a little bit frustrated.
Now it's going heavily against Australia. A scrappy opening to the third quarter. Harvey, Ellis. McInnes was on the floor for a moment. Could hardly use her.
Wing defender, you're laying on. Australia penalty.
Robry. defending. So Wag, O'Donnell, Wilson.
On the ball. On the ball. Steady up.
A few of the Aussies here. Well, not as many as there were Kiwis at the MCG on Saturday night, I can tell you. There were about 25,000 of them at the football. And there's probably about 20 or 30 Australians here. They'll be happy at the moment. Many regathers. Well, they're flying down court, the Silver Ferns. Robry is quick. Colling. Loughagan.
They appear to be getting their confidence back, the New Zealanders. Whether Margaret Foster has really injected a bit more energy down the attack end.
Well, Foster is very quick and very fit. Off Australian hands, says Jan McKercher. Harvey inclined to disagree.
Contact, penalty pass, outside. Right, causing contact, goal defence, pass or shot.
Against Harvey.
No, back.
Colling being put in his spot.
Goal attack.
Well, there's so much whistle at the moment. Umpires doing their best to play advantage, but they're making it hard, the players.
And I think the Australians are just trying to get it out of that attack end very quickly by playing very fast.
Advantage, contact, goal attack. Wing defender, contact.
Again, I think we saw in that passage through the centre third, Sue, what you were talking about earlier, they're looking to run on to those passes from the Australians. Stand back, leave the passage open. Wilson. Lead back out to 10. It was 9 at half-time. So New Zealand doing better in the first and third quarters. McInnes, Wag, Wilson. Oh, who was that off? I hope they're okay. Tanya didn't blink.
I was just about to say that the Australians have been swinging that ball well around that circle. It's only a matter of time for the defenders just to start intercepting some of those passes.
Loughagan. Ellis. O'Donnell. Harvey. Wag.
The Australians are far better when they don't hesitate and they just play the ball off. They don't give the New Zealand time to set up.
And Cox. Well, she's really starting to build a bad penalty count as far as New Zealand's concerned. Australia 11 to the good. 6.5 to go in the third. A little look at it end on. I think this angle often gives a good indication of the use of the width of the court. Yvonne Willering, the new coach. Will she be coach up to the next World Championships? The position that she has now is only for this test.
Offside, obstruction.
Ball A's.
Second jump.
We're seeing a lot of step back and step to the sides by our shooters. Really is showing the strength of Cox and length of her arms.
Dawson back to Many. New Zealand holding this lead at 10 and 11. Loughagan back to Robry. And wisely left by Ellis. She knew it was off New Zealand hands. McInnes to O'Donnell.
Goal defender.
There are some very old combinations at work out there. McInnes and O'Donnell.
Offside.
Wilson. Oh. Many had a good go at it. Maybe unlucky not to get the whistle to her advantage. Five minutes to go. Third quarter. It's Australia by 12.
Steppy. New Zealand.
Cox to Many. Dawson. Oh, McInnes. Good body control. Just got the touch to it. Wasn't really in position to take the full intercept.
Contact, goal kick. Battle shot. Just there.
Loughagan really setting up well on Lizzie Ellis then.
Offside.
Oh, Wag unlucky, just couldn't pull up quickly enough. The intercept was hers. Robry, Foster, Colling, Loughagan.
Again, just repositioning each time. And
And
Ellis.
Ellis went up early. The ball took an extra bounce on the ring, and that was enough to deprive her. So the lead back to 10. Wag.
Deliberate use at the leg centre. Australia penalty. Yes.
Wilson. Oof.
Contact.
A little bit of hesitation by Vicky, but then, you know, I think she was waiting for the body to come through, and it did.
What do you think? Some of these shooters getting away with 3 seconds and a bit?
Never.
Contact. Wing defence. Penalty pass.
Contact McInnes. Was never beside her opponent, but it's by the by. Loughagan trying to steal a metre. Great shot.
Well, they're far better off when she's in the circle setting up on the defenders than coming out.
Wilson protects the ball that's spilt.
Contact off the ball. Inside. Pass or shot.
So Wilson, Borlase just inside the circle. Takes one big step and misses. Cox. Robry loves to fly down court. She's great to watch. And well taken, Loughagan. I think Loughagan made the most of it. Got away with it. Now the lead back to 9 and New Zealand possession. So things are now level in this third quarter because the lead was 9 at half-time.
You'll see the 2 Australian defenders are splitting the circle and putting a lot more pressure on Loughagan. They figured they can leave the goal attack Colling alone.
Contact. Wing defence. Penalty pass.
Let her bring the ball down, but really put the pressure on the shooter.
Little frustration showing in the body language of McInnes. And now it's back to 8.
Australia penalty.
Wag. And New Zealand's effort starting to frustrate Australia.
Contact. Australia penalty.
Another one against Foster. This is hard work getting her down here. Borlase. O'Donnell.
Contact ball defender. Pass or shot.
Contact against Many.
Both out. Contact. Both.
Cox and Many late on Borlase. This
Out of the way of the
Sutter,
arm.
Cox, Delaney. Heavy South Australian flavour to the bench too.
New Zealand.
3 players from the Thunderbirds there. Out came Loughagan. Dawson. Foster, smart ball.
Offside. Free pass. No, offside. Okay. Contact.
That was
Penalty
a
pass.
confusing call. She said the keeper was offside. I'm sure she wasn't.
Contact. Goal
I think she
defence.
called the
Penalty
wing
pass.
defence offside.
Right, but said keeper. Oh, well played, Loughagan.
She won't shoot though, she's passing it off each time.
That's better.
Well, for someone who hasn't had much experience, she's certainly standing out there and delivering.
This is a real scrap. Wag, Wilson.
Defence. Contact. Contact. Pass or shot. On the ball. New Zealand.
39-30. Timekeeper gets up now, so any second. And that counts. And they get the last goal of the quarter, do the Silver Ferns. And They're still in it. They only trail by 8. So they actually won that quarter. 39-31 Australia at three-quarter time. Many and Borlase. O'Donnell with it. Fasten your seatbelts for this last quarter. New Zealand won the third, 14-13, and they're in it. Make no mistake. And the crowd are going to try and cheer them home, Sue.
Absolutely, and you'll see Jenny Borlase really got back into that game last quarter. She shot 5 out of 7. Vicky Wilson shooting 8 out of 11 for that last quarter. Still showing a dominance in that circle.
And the Australians get the important first goal of the quarter. Can they get 2 here? And that'd really apply some pressure to the Silver Ferns. O'Donnell. Great fake, set up Wag to receive, and now Wilson. And they get to 41. No, they don't. Many to Cox. Bernice Many, a captain from that famous sporting family here in New Zealand. Her father, the Olympic track and throwing coach for New Zealand at the Olympics. The mother also a great sport. But it's with Lofhagen, the basketballer turned netballer, who answers for New Zealand. A break against Australia, a turnover. Colling needs this. Oh, it crawled in.
That was probably one move that I thought New Zealand might have changed. She only put up 1 goal in the last quarter.
Lofhagen. Great work, Lofhagen. She is really something. Only played 1 test before this. She's tall, agile and accurate.
Yeah, the goal attack was using her body to try and protect space for Lofhagen along that baseline.
Borlase, Wilson.
Australia's got both goalers outside that ring.
O'Donnell and Dawson, who know each other pretty well in the midcourt. No quarter asked, none given, as they say. Held, does not count. Does not count. Cusack shakes her head as a shooter would. The crowd a little slow to pick up on that because they can't hear what we can.
Good eye fake by Collins.
Here they come. Lead back to 6.
You'll see a great eye fake by Collins into the Lofhagen.
Here's O'Donnell. Many. And this is how Australia is best making their way in. That's not going to make it. Penalties are getting Australia into the circle at the moment. So resilient is this New Zealand defence. There's a lot of whistles, Sue. It's barely netball at times.
It's interesting that they allow Vicky Wilson to pass the ball off and just run without any pressure onto that court.
Many. Harvey had a good lash, but Colling wins out, leaves it for Dawson. Colling should goal from here. Doesn't put any extra on it than is needed, but it's good enough. And a margin back to 6. Wag. Borlase. Wilson.
That's a little bit more direct from the Australians. Instead of passing it around, they're just going straight into the middle.
Great ball. Received by Foster. New Zealand possession.
Outside the circle. Outside.
Left by Lofhagen for Foster.
Play.
Oh, won't get away with it twice. The Australian defender's not fooled by the eye fake, Sue.
No, and Kath Harvey very clean on that upward movement.
Just feels to me as though the Australians have been forced to play a far more aerial game than we usually see from them.
The umpire calling a
Contact, goal attack.
Contact against Borlase. Just lost her thinking there for a moment. It was a contact against her. She had to be beside her player. Foster, well taken, Lofhagen.
Well, she's certainly dominating down that attack end for the New Zealanders.
Well, she is really playing well against Ellis, acknowledged as the best goalkeeper in the world. 6 the margin. Plenty of time for New Zealand to catch and pass Australia. Although not if Wilson shoots like that. Oh, that's too big.
Lofhagen just indicating to her players just to take time, just steady, find the pass.
O'Donnell open. Wag. Oh, Wilson! She was open for a good while. Yeah, I think that's a good call. Cox was there, but McInnes has it. Oh, play advantage. Oh, please, Maureen. The old chestnut. Oh, I hate that. Ellis, Harvey. Wag. 8:30 to go. They need another turnover in the next minute or two. Do the Kiwis if they're going to make a run at this. Borlase. She liked the look of that.
That was a good move by Borlase. Came in, short, sharp movements. Opened up their defence end.
O'Donnell. Wilson comes out. Australia still guilty of more turnovers, 34-24.
This is where the experience of Vicky Wilson shows in a test match like this.
Borlase and Wag run into each other. Off many to Dawson. McInnes from behind. Umpire doesn't like it. Dawson. Lofhagen gets away from Ellis.
Good touch by Harvey.
I think the accuracy of Borlase and Wilson is telling. Australians have given back a fair bit of possession. But New Zealand just can't haul them in yet. And I would still say there's time. O'Donnell. Australia by 8. Wilson. Knees in the air. Wag. Borlase. Oh, replay. That's a tough call.
Well, I think it is. But if you have no control.
Harvey takes a good intercept. How often do you see a side lift after they've conceded possession? Borlase now. Possession very evenly shared.
No contact called on Vicky coming in and positioning herself.
Well, that was a big, big pass out the back of the court, and Australia will happily take the restart. Ellis, O'Donnell, Borlase. Oh, turned her eyes away from Wilson, who'd made herself free. A little unfortunate. Happens many times, though.
Contact goalkeeper, partial shot.
Clumsy one from Tanya Cox. Wilson makes a pay. New Zealand with actually 51% of the possession to 49 from Australia. But still the Australians have a hold on this match by 9. And I'm tempted to say again, Sue, one bad quarter from New Zealand, and that's all it takes. You're going to lose a match to Australia every time.
That's right. You just can't afford to have one bad quarter. And it's unusual for teams to have it on the second quarter. Usually you're building on that second quarter.
We often say in many sports that the third quarter is the premiership quarter. That's often where it's lost, or the last. In South Africa's case, it was often the first.
Australia really having trouble getting into that circle.
Oh, athletic take from Borlase.
Structure landing, goal count.
I was waiting for the 3-second rule.
Oh, I
to be
was
called.
too. I reckon those shooters are getting away with it. Foster, no. Bad pass. Tough one for Lofhagen to take.
Well, I mean, her height has been so dominant in the air, and to put a ground ball to her, it's very unusual.
Dawson held off, made the charge. She's Taking some good intercepts today. Wilson, O'Donnell. Oh. A misread between Borlase and O'Donnell. 5 to go. Australia not quite safe, but you'd have to back them in. Oh, Harvey. It was only a half-hearted run at it.
A little bit sloppy towards the end, though. Didn't need to put a hand on and leave 2 in the circle for New Zealand.
Well, the Australians need only protect their centre passes now, and surely they'll win it. Since 1948, Australia's had 31 wins, New Zealand 18, and there have been 2 draws. But in the 90s, it's 15-2 Australia. A real decade of dominance by the Australian netball team over New Zealand.
It's interesting watching Jenny Borlase. Once she passes the ball off, she turns her head away from whoever she's thrown it to, and I think that's creating a lot of misunderstanding and a few loose passes from the Australians.
O'Donnell. Oh. Nothing given. Tanya Cox gives Vicky Wilson a friendly pat on the backside, and it's as if to say, well, bad luck. Not quite sure what the ruling is there, but they're old foes, Wilson and Cox. Lophagen. It's still Australia by 7, and you can see how long to go. I don't think New Zealand can claw it back from here.
We're seeing a lot more pressure again in the middle of the court from New Zealand. Holding up that ball from Australia.
O'Donnell. Oh, Wag, lucky. Wilson with far less height, got the first grab. Quite a low-scoring match, I think, Sue. Defence really quite dominant here.
Definitely. A bit of misunderstanding again by the 2 attackers off that centre pass.
So Jenny Borlase has not played goal attack all season, really, has she?
No, she's been playing for Ravens in the goal shooter position. And really, that's why I think we're seeing a lot more of Vicky Wilson come out of the circle, just to complement each other's game.
Yeah, contact against Cox. A little bit of a shame that those kind of fluid movements are broken down at the end by a penalty. The umpires have had a pretty tough night and done a good job, I think, in a match that's been pretty physical. A lot of whistle being forced to be blown in the circles. Against Foster. 2 minutes to go. 49-40 Australia. O'Donnell wide to Wag. Wilson. 2 options there, side by side.
We saw Vicky swing. We saw Vicky move around the court a lot in that circle then, and you know, that's been working. To swing the ball across the circle has worked well for Australia.
Lofhagen.
She certainly has been the dominant shooter down for the New Zealanders. Very inexperienced, but very solid attacking play today.
A great prospect, Anna Lofhagen. I mean, in 2 years' time, at the World Championships here in New Zealand, she's going to be something. Colling, Foster, Lofhagen.
And the Australian defenders have tried to work double defence on her, one-on-one. So far, it really hasn't upset her at all.
Into the last minute. They'll have to come back. I think Simone McInnes possibly knew that. Was happy to waste a second or 3. Colling is out of play. That wastes another moment or 2. O'Donnell round the corner to McInnes. Straight up to Wilson. Will shoot from the base. Over Cox. And miss many. Well, the crowd doing their best to lift New Zealand. They don't know how much time is left.
Well, I think we've seen a lot stronger from the New Zealand team defensively on the court. A lot more purpose in their attack.
Well, New Zealand won the third quarter. They're going to have won the last quarter, but they're not going to win the match. It's Australia 49, New Zealand 43, and that is Australia's 26th consecutive international win. A great team.
Yeah, great effort by Australia. 49-43, it's probably one of the closest games we've had from New Zealand for a long time. Willering obviously has made an impact on their team.
And will she get the job? You would think on that performance from New Zealand that she probably will. But, that's in the weeks ahead. So Australia has now won the last 6 matches against New Zealand. Australia's last loss was in May 1994 in Auckland against New Zealand, 53-49. And their closest recent match against New Zealand was at the World Championships in Birmingham, where Australia got through by 1. Yvonne Willering, I think, will be pleased, going down only by 6. Looks like the captains might be ready to talk to Brendan Telfer.
Yes, I have with me the Victoria's captain, Vicky Wilson. You're making a very bad habit of coming here and beating us in recent years, Vicky, but I guess this would have to rate, regardless of the scoreline, as one of the toughest victories you've had.
Yeah, absolutely. It was tough right from the word go, and the Silverferns came out hard, just as hard as what we did. It was a great battle, and it was just that we got away in that second quarter, but they played very well to try and close the gap in the last quarter.
Yeah, those 10 minutes at the start of the second quarter really were the pivotal 10 minutes in the match. Yeah,
I thought we started to find a little bit of timing, and we started to gel a little bit, gel well together, and we were able to bring the ball down quite well down court, and I think that makes all the difference when you can bring it down with speed and precision.
You went perhaps feeling a little complacent there at half-time because the New Zealanders came back at you in the second half and closed it down.
Well, the third quarter we always put down as being the toughest one, and we knew they were going to come back strong, and they just caught us, napping a little bit, so full credit to them.
Well, thank you, Vicky. Champions for another year.
Thanks very much, Brendan.
And hopefully alongside of me, I might have Bernie Smenny, a little worn or weary after a pretty torrid battle out there tonight, Bernie.
Yeah, it was, Brendan, and I guess we played with all our hearts, but that second quarter just killed us.
Yeah, that's right. There were just 10 minutes there where things went wrong. What was the problem, you think, there?
They got on a roll, and that's when we really needed to change something. It's got unsettling for both ends, and I think, we really need to power it home and try and pick up from that.
I guess you were staring down the barrel of a fairly big defeat there at halftime, so you must have been pleased the way they came back at the Australians in the second half.
Yeah, I am. We got some ball that we didn't actually score off, and that's really vital to perhaps even making that scoreline a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller.
And finally, a word about the crowd here tonight.
The crowd was wonderful. It was just amazing.
Bernie, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Australia 49-43, but New Zealand sending out some very positive signs for the future. Don't forget our National League resumes on Friday night. Melbourne Kestrels against Perth Orioles. Saturday afternoon, Sydney Swifts against Adelaide Thunderbirds. But that's all from Mystery Creek in Hamilton, New Zealand. I'm Steve Rebellion on behalf of Sue Hawkins. Goodbye for now.
For the final time in 1997, the Waverley Netball Centre hosts the Commonwealth Bank Trophy. Tonight, the Melbourne Kestrels against the Perth Orioles. Well, it's been 4 months since the first centre pass was taken in the Commonwealth Bank Trophy, and tonight the Melbourne Kestrels face their final game of the year. It's been a fairly disappointing season for the Kestrels, but tonight they have a good opportunity to regain a little bit of pride here in front of their home crowd. For the Perth Orioles, well, they're going to have to produce something very, very special to make the semi-finals. But their new coach, Di McDonald, should be well pleased with their performance this year. Let's take a look at the competition ladder with just 1 round remaining. The Adelaide Thunderbirds have won 7 straight, including 2 weeks ago against Phoenix, and that's helped them into outright first position for the first time this year. The Sydney Swifts have secured their semi-finals berth on 16 points, and right now the Sydney Sandpipers are in the kind of form that could give them outright 4th place and a spot in the sudden death semi-final. That hinges, though, on the match to be played on Sunday against the Adelaide Ravens. The Ravens, of course, at home. Then you can see the Perth Orioles. The scenario here is that they have to win tonight and improve their for and against dramatically. Well, I'm joined once again in commentary tonight by Pat Micken. And Pat, with the Kestrels out of finals contention and the Orioles, as I said, a very slim chance of making it, how do you think the coaches will approach it tonight?
It's a difficult situation, Bridget, for both coaches because this game is about emotion. And Perth have to recover from a losing grand final against the Ravens in Perth last week. And the coach, Di McDonald, has been away with the Australian team in New Zealand this week, so she hasn't spent a lot of time with her team. And Lisa Alexander seems to be experimenting with her team tonight a little. It's a tough ask for both coaches. I'm tipping Perth.
OK, let's take a look at the lineups for the two teams. Lisa Alexander has put Driscoll in at shooter for the Kestrels. She, in fact, hasn't played in 3 weeks and is joined in goals by Danny Arnott. Ironmonger and Kathleen Smart are the Perth goal defenders, with Chelsea Marden at wing defence, and no doubt she'll be hoping Shelley O'Donnell is a little tired after her Australian duties this week. Nicole Richardson meets Julianne Sloan at centre, Megan McRae marking Perth captain Waveney Senor. Then in Perth goals, it's Paulson and Chamberlain, Kennedy and Garbutt, the defenders for Melbourne.
I'd say my greatest strength is my reach in the circle, because the circle's only so big, and when you can reach from one end to the other, it's more of an advantage. My main idol would have to be Kieran Perkins, mainly because I'm not a very good swimmer and it's something I've always wanted to excel at. When you're going on a hard drive and someone passes the ball at you, you have to stop dead in your tracks. That's the hardest part. No real stories. I'm one of the bigger girls, so I always get the double bed. I get my own room. So that's the best thing.
Yes, at 188 centimetres, Diane Ring does take up her fair share of a hotel room. Celebrated her 21st birthday not long ago. So happy birthday as Nicole Richardson gets the match underway for the Melbourne Kestrels.
Advantage offside centre, advantage obstruction.
And it goes the way of the Kestrels. Pat, you mentioned a bit of emotion for both teams really in this match with probably not much to gain other than some pride.
I think so. Perth really have got have had a difficult week behind them with losing contact with the coach, who I believe did have no sessions with them at all this week. And they would have been very flat after in a really important game for them last week against the Ravens and losing that one. And then we've got the Kestrels who just want to get their 3rd win on the board for the season. So again, you've got, as a coach, you would have to really work on getting that emotion high.
Jane Cross and Prue Plummer with the whistle tonight. Jane Cross on the far side of the court. Yes, you mentioned Diane McDonald, the Perth coach in New Zealand with the Australian team as the apprentice Australian coach under Jill McIntosh.
Advantage contact wing.
So the Orioles have had a couple of sessions this week with Michelle Wilkins over in Perth, and in fact only met up late last night with their coach Di McDonald here in Melbourne.
Contact centre.
We'll have to see how this game unfolds, Bridget, but just looking at the way the two teams warmed up, the Melbourne team looked very sharp in contrast to Perth, who were uncharacteristically sloppy, and that may be explained by late arrival last night, got into Melbourne at midnight, or the fact that they had lost contact with their coach during the week. But we'll see how that, if that has any effect on the way they start.
At the beginning of the season, I guess you would have thought the travel was going to be one of the toughest elements of the season for Perth, but as I mentioned at the beginning, Diane McDonald should be well pleased with the season that they've put out. Possibly, I would say, without doubt, the underdogs of the competition and in the running for 4th place.
I agree. They've been hungry for a coach like Di McDonald. I believe the program in Western Australia is really benefiting from her. Having been an international player, knows what it is about. And I also believe, with regard to the travel arrangements, that it's a stipulation from the Western Australian Institute that this team from Perth must travel the day before they play. So they set some good standards there.
They're on the board after 3 minutes of the match. And Kylie Chamberlain's given away the contact. So the Orioles now through Garbutt. Richardson, and threads it through to Driscoll. Driscoll, in fact, has only played 2 of the last 6 matches. Diana Croato, the favoured goal shooter for Lisa Alexander. So no doubt Driscoll with the ball now will want to start this quarter strongly. She's put the 2 goals in for the Kestrels, and that's her third.
And she follows down strongly without being on the body.
Chelsea Martin for Senor. Quick pass back from Duff, and now Annette Paulson. Her first attempt is a miss.
Sorry, came off goal shooter. Sorry.
Megan McRae starting tonight for the Melbourne Kestrels. Just for the 3rd time this season, we're used to seeing Nicole Richardson at wing defence. And Peter Kennedy is also a regular wing defender.
Yes, the Kestrels coach, Lisa Alexander, hasn't been afraid to mix and match her team throughout the season. And she definitely has the versatility there to do that. Shelley O'Donnell, for example, is sort of a universal centre court player. Peter Kennedy, for example, very versatile. She has on her on her CV, I think, wing defence, goal defence, and wing attack. So there's a bit of variety there for her to work with.
Here's O'Donnell, their captain now, and McRae just took her eyes off it for a minute. Danny Arnott, and forward well is Driscoll.
Just a word there about Sally Ironmonger, Bridget. She's been a revived player this year. Again, probably thanks to the coaching of Di McDonald, that she has really had an impact on all goalies that she's played against, and in fact she is the only player in the Perth team that does have international experience. So Di McDonald had something to work with, but it had to take special qualities from the coach to do that.
Yes, first represented Australia back in '86 in the open ranks, and I know the Perth players really do look to Sally Ironmonger as a leader, especially amongst the younger members of the team, and Danny Arnott's pass just goes astray. Kathleen Smart, who's in at goal defence. The Orioles a few weeks ago losing their regular goal defender, Leith Frad, and the other goal defender here tonight, Kennedy, takes a great intercept. Quick transition for the Kestrels, but they can't capitalise, although Julianne Sloan was offside. The idea was right there from O'Donnell, but just caught Arnott in the middle of her turn. Smart back to Ironmonger. Sloan.
The Kestrels putting on a dropping back into a centre court zone there, Bridget, to test the Perth attack to see how effectively they could make that transition out of defence, but that time they didn't have any problems with it.
Well, that was something they used last week against the Sydney Swifts. The Kestrels using that zone defence through the centre court, and it forced the Swifts to go long, but they have Joanne Morgan back in goal, so that's always handy. It'll be interesting to see if they keep that up and to see how the Orioles handle it. Di McDonald won't have had a chance to look at the video from last week. Great pass from O'Donnell into Driscoll. And she evens the score. It's 5-all.
Fantastic vision there from Shelley O'Donnell. She's one step off the centre circle and to the post with precision. Great touch.
In the circle again for the Kestrels. Sneaky little pass from Arnott into Driscoll. Good start from her. She's shot 6 from 7. In fact, shot all the goals for the Kestrels so far. Senor for Sloan.
Bridget, I like the way that Julianne Sloan entered the circle then. a lot of centres will take the ball from the made shot and rush back to the centre circle and try and get the advantage of the speed on the release on the centre pass. But sometimes, if the momentum is going against you, it's very advisable to just stop and control the tempo, steady the tempo. And I like the fact that she just waits until she feels that her team is set around her.
Chelsea Martin looks over to find Smart and mishandles Chamberlain. Again, the Kestrels bring it down the court quickly. O'Donnell recovered well then from a bit of a shove in the back from Chelsea Martin.
Already it's clear, Bridget, that there's a difference in the refinement of the skills between the two forward lines. Melbourne team move the ball with such, well, it's just grace and precision and terrific awareness. And at the moment, Perth just don't have the same adeptness.
O'Donnell, Richardson. Arnott just stealing a couple of feet to put her second goal of the match in. Kestrels by 3. Paulson's out for the centre. And there seems to really be a lot of congestion around that Orioles circle, particularly with the Melbourne defenders doing everything they can.
Fine.
Now they have the throw in.
It's on the centre pass. Quite often it's advisable to have the wing attack be given the complete transverse line for her to be able to move both ways on the centre pass. And if the goal attack comes up to that line, she takes away half of the line, half of the direction that she can go.
Good shooting early from the Melbourne Kestrels. Arnott only putting in 3, but making all of them. And they're ahead by 4 with the centre here, turning it over though. Their coach is Lisa Alexander.
If there's one woman that has passion in the NNL, that's Lisa Alexander. I believe that she actually lives in the country, Bridget, and makes a 3-hour round trip to training several times a week. She's a teacher full-time and a coach. I'm sure that she's a tired person at the moment and looking forward to the end of the season.
Well, it has been a long season for the coaches and the players and the officials who've all done a great job in the inaugural Commonwealth Bank Trophy. And misunderstanding between Chamberlain and Sloane. And the goal defence, Kathleen Smart just hammered Nicole Richardson on the way through. You wouldn't see that too often. Richardson, one of the toughest players in the game. The pass was attempted to her, or actually I don't know how to look at it, but just on her way through, Smart cleaned up Richardson. Smart hasn't come off too cleanly either. She looks to be a little bit winded.
Yeah, it would look like there might have been a knee to the body as well, which took away Richardson's balance. At the moment, we're seeing Kestrels playing the typical Victorian style of high possession, high percentage, high work rate through their forward line. They're prepared to just work the ball around until they get it precisely where they want, and that's generally on the circle. And while that sometimes might mean, because they're handling the ball that many times, that there's the higher chance for a turnover on an intercept, generally it means a higher percentage shot because they're getting the ball where they want to feed it to from that edge to their goalies.
The goalies at the Melbourne Kestrels end have got a good understanding so far in this quarter. There's 3.5 minutes remaining in it. And conversely, it's really not coming together for the Perth Orioles attacking end and defensive Di McDonald.
Barnage contact.
Richardson.
Barnage obstruction centre.
O'Donnell's there as ever. Driscoll.
Contact, Golden.
And just pulls it back for the penalty pass or shot. Perth defenders really need to keep their eyes open on those penalty pass and shots, because both Driscoll and Arnott are just popping little passes over to give themselves an easier position to the post. Arnott hasn't missed one yet.
I would suggest that Di McDonald feels very disconnected from her team at the moment because the week begins with you preparing your game plan for the following week, and you build through that week with individual players and then collectively as a team. And having been away and meeting up with her team in Melbourne last night, would have been very hard for her to pick up on how her team is emotionally and how well focused they are and those sorts of things. So I guess she's used the first quarter just to get a feel for where her team actually is.
Well, at the moment, they're down by 7. Paulson for the Orioles. Sloan, and good passage of play for them. But not being able to finish off. Chamberlain, Kennedy, athletic, quick, through the centre court. The Kestrels, and well recovered from Danny Arnott. Again, there's that short little pass through to Arnott, who makes the easy shot. The transition in that section there from the Kestrels, very slick indeed. There's a recovery from Arnott, makes the pass back into Driscoll, and she pops it through to Arnott. Well, between these two Kestrel shooters, only 1 goal has been missed. Driscoll shooting 11 from 12, and Danny Arnott a clean slate for her.
Again, we're seeing Perth really playing through congestion on that transverse line, and then it was really not a high percentage pass to the baseline in the circle, and then it ended up not being a high percentage shot. While we see the experience of the Kestrels at the other end, just working with the poise and the understanding. Really the benefit of a marshal, the marshalling player and the marshalling experience of Shelley O'Donnell there. She's a dual world champion from 91 and 95. She's got tremendous know-how and leadership just by example on the court.
And Danette Paulson was all alone in that passage for the Orioles. They're down though, 17-9, last minute of this first quarter. Richardson just waiting for her players to arrive in the circle and elects to go short to Driscoll. And I'm not too sure whether that goal counted or not. In fact, it didn't. So at the end of the first quarter, the Melbourne Kestrels, they've skipped away early. They lead 17-9. The Melbourne Kestrels shooters missed just 2 in that first quarter. And they were well fed indeed by particularly Shelley O'Donnell and Nicole Richardson. There's the stats for the first quarter. The shooter, Driscoll, at 84%, and Danny Arnott, clean slate from her. And at the other end, the Orioles, Chamberlain on 62 and Paulson on 80%, and just indicative of their breakdown in attack. And already the Orioles have given the turnover away. O'Donnell, Arnott. Played strong game in the first quarter, Danny Arnott. Now it's Richardson and Driscoll.
Here we see Sally Ironmonger not quite getting around there and using very wide feet, so ended up being stuck in the one position and pushing with the body.
It's against Sloan, so Kennedy to take the penalty. Richardson with some space and time. And not a bad idea there from Driscoll. She gave it and went along the baseline, but picked up by the Perth defenders. Now it's Perth through Chelsea Martin. Sloan. Again, breaking down for the Orioles along that transverse line, and nothing coming together for them.
I think it would, to combat that zone, because they are trying to take away the middle corridor. You can see Richardson and the wing defence, McRae, taking away the middle of the court there, and Perth need to be attacking the space, so they need to actually attack that zone along the sidelines and then go central from there. And Bridget, it looks to me as though Lisa Alexander would like to be starting the National League season right now, in the way that her team is very cohesive. They have a set game plan and pattern, and they're playing to it very well, and seems to be doing an injustice to them to actually finish in last position.
Certainly bringing it together at the wrong end of the season, but now the Orioles have it through Chamberlain, and good jump from Narelle Garbutt. She collects the rebound.
Barnage obstruction, wing attack.
McRae for Kennedy. Richardson. Again, McRae, so the defenders working it down the court.
Barnage obstruction.
And Ironmonger over the top. Quick hands from Danny Arnott.
Danny Arnott, that was clever play by her, setting it up to look as though she was going to set the screen, and then just turning on her player and receiving the feed.
Driscoll swinging it over to Richardson and calling for it as O'Donnell. Quickly takes a penalty and in for Arnott. Still hasn't missed one. And the Kestrels by 12.
Bridget, I'm glad that I tipped Perth in the commentary before the game. But one thing has to be said about Perth is that they have just one international player, as I mentioned before, Sally Ironmonger, but they do have 5 players in the Australian under-21 squads or teams. Chamberlain, Duff, Martin, Paulson and seniors. So their average age being 22, the Kestrels 25. It does appear as though they've got a really good, solid foundation to build a future on.
And down underneath the goal ring with Annette Paulson putting that one in. They haven't played their under-21 representative, Kerry Duff, since round 10. And she's played 2 of the last 6. So they've obviously got her in reserve, but Chamberlain and Paulson getting the nod for the past few weeks. Arnott works it for Driscoll.
Contact. Pass the shot.
And still they keep up this consistent shooting. The Kestrels bench certainly very happy with this performance. Now a good pass in from Chamberlain to Paulson. She's shot well, only 6, but just missed the 1. O'Donnell. Driscoll. Richardson.
Obstruction, centre.
You wouldn't have thought that Shelley O'Donnell had played an international on Wednesday night.
No signs of that at all.
And it certainly was a very physical match for her against Dawson. She gave it all in the great win for Australia again against the Silver Ferns. McDonald getting back, ready to receive the next centre pass, or the pass off it.
Shelley's sister Wendy is sitting on the bench, and I believe there's only one other sister combination in the National League, that being Alison and Megan Williams of the Sydney Swifts.
Senor, Paulson. And Sloan over for Carly Chamberlain. High action in the shot.
Kestrels.
Quick passing and work between Richardson and Arnott, and finding Driscoll.
Richardson's got great balance on that. giving a beautifully timed pass on the run. Beautifully weighted pass, not easy to do. And it's not often that you see an Olympian on a netball court, but Nicole Richardson was at the Atlanta Olympics as a member of the Australian softball team, a bronze medal winning team at that.
Gee, I'm glad I don't have that problem of being so good at two sports. How would you decide?
Yes, people would argue that Nicole's never really given herself a chance at really extending her netball career. She has been in the Australian squad right through the 90s, but then with her preference in the Olympic year with the softball, then she was omitted from that Australian squad. But now she may put her focus with the Australian netball team and see what can happen, especially with Carissa Toombs on the sidelines with that knee injury.
Barney's causing goal defence.
Perth in possession now and firing a pass in as Chamberlain to Paulson on the baseline. Chamberlain, and no look pass, and I don't know if Paulson was looking anyway.
Yep, looking to the left and passing to the right, but she just didn't have the touch on it and was too high.
Paulson made the intercept though, so the Orioles again, Chamberlain making the shot, the difference back to 10.
Barney's breaking, goal defence.
O'Donnell's out for it. Arnott working it again to O'Donnell, and too close Chelsea Martin, or the contact in fact, was taken quickly by O'Donnell and in for Driscoll.
Barney's break, goal defence. Barney's
Senor.
obstruction wing.
Smart.
Where you are.
Now Paulson with the attempt. She's only missed one, make that 2 in the match so far. And Paulson shooting 73% for the season.
Barney's obstruction wing attack.
Clean touch on that from Waveney Senor, but it's a Kestrel's throw in. Covering plenty of ground is Peter Kennedy. O'Donnell. Arnott. And that's the 20th penalty that the Orioles have given away, and that plays against 4 from the Melbourne Kestrels. So really damaging the Orioles, and combination of the Kestrels attacking players really clicking. Even when it goes wrong, it goes right for the Kestrels.
Danny Arnott is one player who just made that shot that we have seen vast improvement in this season. From a player who at the beginning of the season would have been expected to bring steadiness and experience to this lineup, appeared to be very unsettled in the early part of the season and was responsible for an unusually high number of turnovers, and was then experimented with at wing attack for a while, but now is playing with a great deal, well, exactly what Lisa Alexander would have been looking from her from the start, is that experience, that the know-how that she uses in that forward line. She's very versatile. If you watch the way she plays goal attack, she will be a feeder, she'll be a screener, and she'll be an attacker all in the one role.
Well, she's got the upper hand on Kathleen Smart, as Driscoll put her 20th in for just the 3 misses, and in fact Arnott, that we've been talking about, hasn't missed a goal yet in the match. And they're running on that confidence. They're not afraid to pass it around the circle and just make that little 1 or 2 feet difference just to get in a little bit closer. The stats still right up there for the Melbourne Kestrels. Senor. Smart. Sloan. And don't quite know if that was meant for Chamberlain. It worked for the Kestrels in any case.
It's really must feel for the Perth team now like they're pushing a mountain up a hill, in that their opposition really has the momentum again with them, playing with confidence and playing with the open court fluency that's difficult to stop. And if you're coaching against that, it's just, it's very, your game must become very systematic. It must become high percentage. It must become very disciplined. And you must go back very clearly to the game plan and just build your way into it from there.
The Kestrels winning this quarter 15-9. There's 3 minutes remaining in the half. Great pass in from Sloan, and that's what they'll want more of in the second half, but they need to finish it. Richardson and Arnott, it's like they've got the centre third all to themselves. The Kestrels, great take from Tanya Driscoll.
Shelley O'Donnell there. Shelley releasing from the waist, and as you can see, centimetres perfect on that baseline, and even applauded the take.
And again, the slick pass in, this time for Arnott. 34 plays 18. And injury time's been called by Waveney Senor. She's an asthmatic, I believe, so maybe just having a puff of the Ventolin. And a chance for the Orioles just to regroup here and have a little talk about what they need to do. But I'm sure Di McDonald's got plenty going around in her head as to what's going to happen in the second half. The Kestrels leading 34-18. And that penalty count, the Orioles 24 plays the Kestrels 4. And that has damaged the Westerners in this match tonight.
Bridget, that's where I would like to see some rule changes in netball, and when you do have an injury timeout like that, the coaches can actually come up and talk to the players to use it virtually as a timeout, so that she can put in new strategies or put some thoughts to the players.
Hassling from Richardson.
Contact shooter, circle area.
Chamberlain who gave the contact away, and not a bad call at all from Prue Plummer. Driscoll quickly again is Arnott. Oh, that's her first miss of the match, and we've got 2 minutes remaining in the first half. So great shooting from Danny Arnott. Just slowing up for a second, Arnott to find O'Donnell. And double defended was Driscoll. Smart got the hand on it.
Based on this performance, Bridget, it's hard to believe that the Kestrels have only won 2 games this season. They did draw with the Swifts, and I think they signalled about 3 or 4 games ago that they had made the turning point in this season, and they drew with the Swifts, and then they beat the Ravens, and around that time they had extended both the Firebirds and the Phoenix as well.
Richardson. Well, hands on from the Orioles, but Chamberlain was too close. Richardson repositioning Driscoll now. Here is Richardson. Driscoll. Well, I think that's one of the few occasions that we've seen the Perth defenders get a hand on one of those passes in the goal circle. Last minute of the first half, and the Kestrels really dominating this match so far, leading 37-18. And just in the last minute, the Perth defenders have been able to get a hand on the ball in the circle. Senor now at the other end for them. And Peter Kennedy, well, you talked about how slick they looked in the warm-up. One athletic player and very quick player is Peter Kennedy, and a great example of it there.
Peter Kennedy, an invitee to the Australian squad this year. At 178 centimetres, not a tall goal defence.
The Orioles quickly, they're trying to beat the halftime whistle, but they can't. Coley Chamberlain, what will her coach have to say to her at halftime? The Orioles are down, the Kestrels in control of the match at halftime, leading 37-18. Sure if they know what's hit them in this first half. They're down at the moment. Kestrels leading 37 goals to 18. And just as a point of interest, in the first round, the first time these two teams played each other, Perth beat the Kestrels by 6 goals. And Di McDonald had some very stern words to say to them. In fact, the Orioles are already on court. They're very keen to get this second half underway. She's made some changes. Kerry Duff has come on to goal attack. And to the bench is Kylie Chamberlain. And Annette Paulson has gone back to goal shooter. Megan McRae just taking the court again for the Kestrels. Their lineup unchanged. It's been successful in this first half, Pat.
Yes, they're playing with a great deal of confidence, and as I said, it's not reflective of the bottom place team with just 2 wins under their belt.
Well, looking at the stats in the first half, it's the penalties are 27-5 against the Orioles, and that's just not what Diane McDonald wants. Intercepts pretty much even, but also the Orioles given away 13 turnovers. And the Kestrel shooters are just pinpoint perfect so far.
Yes, when you're having the ball delivered to you in the manner in which they are, it makes it that much easier to put up a high percentage shot. And then when the ball is being fed to you in that way, you can move it in and out and get it closer to the post, and therefore a high percentage shot even then.
The Kestrels as a team shooting 88% in this match tonight, and a couple of other changes that Di McDonald has made. Chelsea Martin has moved into centre for the Perth Orioles, and Julianne Sloan has come off. Michelle Warland has come from the bench to play wing defence against Shelley O'Donnell. Haven't seen a great deal of Martin at centre so far this year, so it'll be interesting to see how she copes with Richardson.
Physically, they look like a similar matchup, so we'll watch their styles with interest.
And Ironmonger's been injured in that clash with Tanya Driscoll. And she's a tough cookie, so it's obviously not a very comfortable position for her to be in.
Bridget, one of the characteristics of the Perth team was that they have a very strong physical presence on the court because they play one-on-one very well. I understand that unusually the Perth team actually trains 3 times a week, once with the ball, or once on court and twice with weights. So physically they're strong.
Here's a look at what happened, and just on the left of the picture, just out of the shot there was Chelsea Martin. It was just a collision basically with Tanya Driscoll. In fact, Driscoll ended up on the floor. Ironmonger still on her feet, but just a calf problem perhaps. She seems to be just giving her calf a little massage.
The old knee and the calf.
On the whistle.
Just to pick up that point again, Bridget, from the Ravens' point of view in Adelaide, we were very concerned about that one-on-one capacity they have defensively to ride you and then come through late to pick off the ball on any long pass. But by mixing it up, the Kestrels have really taken that away from them. They've dropped back and made less of the one-on-one contests, and it seems to have robbed the Perth team of their physical presence. It doesn't even appear to be a factor out there on the court.
Well, another turnover from the Orioles. Michelle Warland got a first and very nervous touch on the ball. And put a difficult pass in for Chelsea Martin. The Kestrels have capitalised. Danny Arnott's shooting 17 from 18. And Driscoll also up there at 81%.
Contact, goal attack.
Smart has the penalty pass. Forward for it is Paulson. And Kerry Duff with her first attempt of the match. It was a tough one. Richardson forward to meet the pass. O'Donnell. McRae, and quick pass for O'Donnell. Has to go back a second to regather. Kestrels hit the 40 mark. And early stages of the second half. O'Donnell firing it in for Arnott.
Really sensational play there by Shelley O'Donnell. A really powerful take on the left hand. A two-handed overhead drive. Straight down the throat of Danny Arnott.
Yes, in that replay there, you really saw O'Donnell looked about 2 feet off the ground and delivered the pass with firepower.
Yeah, the strength in her legs give her not only that jumping capacity, but that real dynamic change of direction that she's famous for.
Again, the Kestrels. It smiles for Danny Arnott and her team. Here's Driscoll playing with great confidence tonight. And that little pass that just was popped over to Arnott, really an indication of how confident they are. It's a sort of pass that a lot of defenders might have been able to pick off.
And also typical, I think, of the depth that's available in Victoria netball at the moment. Driscoll there is playing a great game, but I noticed played for the Northern Territory Open side in the Australian Championships last year, obviously not being able to find a place in the Victorian team.
Here's the baseline throw-in for Ironmonger. Nothing going right for the Perth Orioles. Diane McDonald at half-time just urging them to go out there and restore some WA pride, because it has been a good season for them, as we said at the beginning of the match, and it would be bad if they'd have to go out on this sort of note. Just looking at the mathematical possibilities, of course, Sandpiper's on 12 points, currently in 4th on the competition ladder, a crucial match against the Ravens this weekend. The winner of that match going through to the semi-finals, but the Orioles were in fact a mathematical chance of making it, but they would have faced winning tonight by more than 50 goals, and that's virtually impossible. It's certainly impossible at this stage.
Well, who would have thought that after the first 6 games of this season that the Perth Orioles would be pushing for a spot in the 4? Hadn't won a game, but once they beat the Ravens in that second to last game of the first round, they really never looked back. Have really grown with every game and have developed a sense of ownership in this league. Very important mentally.
Great vision from Waveney Senior. And how disappointing would she be with that attempt from Annette Paulson? A gift goal, and she's missed it. O'Donnell. She'll be enjoying a bit more freedom that she seems to have had in this quarter, with Michelle Worland on her.
I really don't think that this game is doing them justice, and I guess it tells a lot about how important the emotional status of the players is. And as we talked about before, last week was really the grand final for the Perth Orioles. Losing that game to the Ravens in Perth in front of an immensely vocal crowd, as I understand it. They were really built up and G'd up for that game. They've come down to this game really flat and playing without much inspiration tonight, not doing justice to their complete season.
Paulson just clashed there, and I think she's hurt a hip slightly. Also a little bit of an indication of the way when the match isn't flowing your way, sometimes those bumps that you incur during a clash with somebody just hurt that little bit more when you're down.
Very much so, and will hurt even more after the game.
You can have a look here at what happened. It was about in the middle there outside the circle, and it was just basically a clash of hips. Paulson, one of the younger players in the team in their goal area, 19 in fact, Chamberlain at 21 and Kerry Duff at goal attack at the moment, also just 19. Now it's the Kestrels.
Contact, goal defend.
So another chance here for them, 2-on-1 in the circle. Unusually though, it's messed up, so The throw-in for Sally Ironmonger. Martin. Kerry Duff. Strong pass in. Well, it was a strong pass for Paulson, but really no legs on that pass. Easy for Peter Kennedy just to collect it.
Again, I think it indicates how important being able to read a situation is, and you often can do that only at international level, only after getting some experience under your belt. Other than that, you generally tend to play the style that you are confident in and that you know well. Unfortunately, Perth aren't adjusting. Yeah, there we go. Right under pressure. Very good defensive pressure over that pass, and it fell short, well short.
Here's Senor, their captain, Duff. Martin, good vision from her into Kerry Duff. It's the first goal of the second half. She came on to replace Kylie Chamberlain. And Annette Paulson's stats are down as well at 69%. Here's Paulson. Faked the pass in to Duff. And Peter Kennedy collected the rebound. Kennedy, in fact, in the match so far, started at goal defence. She hasn't yet given away a penalty, and that's a pretty amazing stat for a goal defender.
It is an unusual stat to highlight, but still being reasonably effective with that stat too.
Smiles at this stage in the match from Lisa Alexander, the Kestrel's coach. They're edging ever closer to that 50 mark. Just over 6 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
Here we have a promising attack building for Perth there, and they got the ball delivered to the post simply because they worked to the spaces. They used the poise, waited, let the drive go into the space, deliver the ball safely, and then to the post.
O'Donnell keeping it in, and the contact's against Smart. And even in the rebounding department, the attackers for the Kestrels strong as ever. Driscoll got plenty of height for the Kestrels down in the circle, though, at 184 centimetres. And now out is Annette Paulson. Again, another touch on it from Peter Kennedy. We talked about Kennedy not having given away any penalties. She's taken 6 intercepts in the match so far as well.
Maybe indicative of the fact that she does play wing defence and has to learn to play off the body in that situation. Very clean defender with great athleticism, able to get around the body without contacting the body.
Here is Kennedy now, and showing her attacking skills as well with that roll to receive the throw-in. Now it's O'Donnell. Strong challenge from Smart on that occasion. Richardson, and quick pass in to Driscoll from O'Donnell. Good jump there, and gathering the rebound is Sally Ironmonger. She was probably lucky to get away with that speculator, though, but the best passage of play that we've seen from the Orioles, bringing it down the court, and luckily Kerry Duff finishes it off. Kestrels now. Arnott is outside alongside O'Donnell. Contacts against Worland. This looking to be the Kestrels' 50th. Yes, it is. And Arnott's 24th. She's only missed 3 in the match. 88% for Arnott, 76 for Driscoll. Another turnover. O'Donnell calling for it was Driscoll, and well played from her. pass over for Richardson. And Driscoll off balance, so the Orioles. Senor calling for somebody. Now, Paulson makes it tough for Martin.
While being soundly beaten, Bridget, Perth do appear to be able to see their way through their forward line with a bit more clarity now. They seem to be able to build higher percentage attacking plays. I was just about to say offensive plays, but I was reminded by Joyce Brown today that it's the attacking end and the defensive end, and not the offensive end and the defensive end.
And at the attacking end for the Kestrels is Tanya Driscoll, stepping it in, and in it rolls. 52 plays 23. 2.5 remaining, third quarter. A great defence from Kennedy. She didn't accept the fake. She's given away the penalty though, but it was well played from her.
Both players out.
One of the marks of both teams is the sheer athleticism of some of the players out there, that even though it is a one-sided game at the moment, there can see individual brilliant pieces of play by players who show sheer and breathtaking athleticism sometimes.
There's a piece of it right there, Waveney Senor for Smart. Another turnover, Kestrels quickly, now Driscoll. Just probably getting a little bit too overconfident there, turned and expected the ever-present Shelley O'Donnell to be there. She wasn't.
We see the mid-court zone being put up here. Waveney Senor taking the bit between her teeth and, again, being the marshalling person through that, deciding to take it upon herself to attack through the space and then open it up. You need someone to drop back and then drive forward into the space.
Paulson for the Orioles, looks out to Senor. Just the last minute or so for the Orioles has swung a little bit in their favour. Closing stages of the third quarter, the Kestrels with it and in control. Although not on that occasion from Shelley O'Donnell, very rare from her. Worland back for Ironmonger. Long pass down, they know there's not much time left, but a hand on it from Narelle Garbutt will slow things down and perhaps not give the Orioles another opportunity to score this quarter. Well, they won't by the looks of it. Now it's McRae. Again, McRae and Arnott.
Barney, drop slide, centre.
Good defence by Perth, holding that attacking area up for the Kestrels. But again, we see that high percentage, high possession rate for the Kestrels, working overtime and just waiting until the opportunity breaks open at the post.
So there is three-quarter time and the Kestrels still in control, leading by 26. Well, the Kestrels coach Lisa Alexander has made a couple of changes for this final quarter, but her team well and truly in control. Wendy O'Donnell has come on to wing attack for the Kestrels. Her sister Shelley gone to centre. Richardson from centre to wing defence and Megan McRae off. Kestrel shooting stats in that last quarter just dropping off slightly, but still up very high. Driscoll shooting at 78 and Arnott, great performance from her at 88. The Orioles, Paulson at 68 and Kerry Duff at goal attack, shooting 66%. And Wendy O'Donnell has taken the court for the Kestrels and sent a pass. They won the third quarter 16 goals to 8, and it's been a totally dominant performance from the home side, the Melbourne Kestrels here. This to be their third win of the season in the Commonwealth Bank Trophy. Interesting. And they've done it in style, Pat.
Sorry. Interesting to watch this, the decision-making there by the Kestrel shooters. When they are wide in the circle and feel indecisive about making or taking the shot, they will select to pass it across the circle and out and back in. Whereas at the moment, the Perth, or up to this point, the Perth shooters have opted to take the shot, which has turned out in general not to be a high percentage one, and the ball is turned over. Again, it's symptomatic of the high percentage style that the Melbourne teams play.
The Orioles have in fact made a change in their goal circle with Annette Paulson going back to goal attack again, and Kerry Duff going into goal shooter. And again, they turn it over at the Perth Orioles. Shelley O'Donnell finding Driscoll easy as you like. And a strong contest between Sally Ironmonger and Driscoll. Arnott quickly in for Wendy O'Donnell. Arnott shot 25 goals for the match, and 30 is now the difference.
Bridget, while we have time to reflect, as this is the last minor round, what are your thoughts on the impressive parts about the National League this season in its inaugural year?
Well, aside from tonight, I guess tonight's performance, the Orioles and also the Queensland Firebirds, I guess some people would have expected that those two teams would have been dragging the chain, but certainly throughout the season they've put on a good show, and they've provided some very close and very exciting games for not only spectators but our television viewers. And the other one, which is becoming very crucial at the moment, I guess, is, and you wouldn't like this, is assistant coaches of the Ravens, is the resurgence of the Sydney Sandpipers, losing Carissa Toms, losing 6 in a row in the middle of the season, and now a real threat for the semi-finals. But just the all-round performances of all the teams in this inaugural Commonwealth Bank Trophy has been spot on. And a great final series looking forward to. For you?
The growth of the Ravens. No, only joking. I think I have to agree with you about the growth of the teams from Perth and Brisbane, and the crowds that have come with them. As they've gone forward, so have the crowds followed them. Also the excellence of the Thunderbirds and the Phoenix. They've been outstanding benchmarks for the rest of the teams in the league. And probably the appearance of the new coaches in the league, the Michelle Dendeckers, the Di McDonalds, and then the return to this competition of Julie Franco with the Ravens.
Kestrels. Well, one of the star players tonight has been Peter Kennedy for the Melbourne Kestrels. 10 intercepts from her, and just the one penalty. Playing slightly out of position at goal defence. The Kestrels, of course, missing Narelle Eslick, who usually partners Narelle Garbutt in goals, but she's done the goal defence position proud here tonight. Martin is the centre for the Orioles. She passes it to Senor. Again, they're still working together. And a clash in the circle there between Duff and Garbutt. Duff has to come out, though. The shooter's just struggling a little bit for Perth. Duff shooting 8 from 11.
Chelsea Martin there at centre for the Perth Orioles. Rather a significant nickname to live up to, the Magic.
I believe that's a nickname she's actually given herself.
Oh, well, it becomes even more of a nickname to live up to.
Don't quote me on that, though. Here she is, Martin.
Contact Goldie feet.
Also interestingly engaged to Al Mullally, who's a fringe England cricket player, currently playing in county cricket in England. I also believe Martin will go and meet up with him at the end of the season and hopes to spend some time at some stage with Carissa Toms, whose husband Richard Toms is playing rugby union in England. Kestrel's 62 goals in the centre. O'Donnell well kept in from her to assist her, Shelley, and into Driscoll. Again, the cheeky passes popped over. We saw that earlier in match. The two goal shooters not afraid just to make those centimetres closer to the goalpost. Here it is across. Wendy O'Donnell kept it in one-handed. Brilliant to Shelley. And an easy pass in the end to Tanya Driscoll. At the other end, the Orioles have an opportunity. They're edging closer to 30, but this difference still over 30 goals. Smiles between Garbutt and Duff. Arnott and soccer skills from Wendy O'Donnell, probably not at the right time. Well, and one of the smaller players on court.
Contact, goal attack, penalty pass.
Garbutt also showing Bridget why she has been an Australian under-21 player at 21 years of age and 184 centimetres. Also a very athletic player on court. And a member of the Victorian Open team last year.
The shooter, Kerry Duff, just giving the penalty away there. So Kennedy to take the pass. Wendy O'Donnell, plenty of speed around the court. O'Donnell, likewise Shelley. O'Donnell just a slightly smaller version of her sister.
And Gary O'Donnell probably quite just a little larger version of Shelley. But all play with a similar head down, high work rate sort of attitude.
Oh, great intercept from Kennedy. Unfortunately for her, she can't find Driscoll. And again, she goes for it. She doesn't get the hand on it, but does enough to put Paulson off.
She really looks as though she's enjoying this game, Peter Kennedy, doesn't she?
34 up. Why wouldn't you be, Richard? O'Donnell. Driscoll recovered well to find Wendy O'Donnell. Interesting talking about the O'Donnells and their brother Gary. Of course, we've got Danny Arnott playing at goal attack, her brother Simon, Sydney Swans player. And you can see the correlation between Aussie rules and netball.
Yes, I had the interesting opportunity to work with the Adelaide Crows last year as their agility coach, and was very much a component of the work that they did in pre-season. Was in fact, we did work with netballs on the powerhouse floor in Adelaide, just working on quick change of direction, staying low to the ground, working high to low.
That's Tanya Driscoll's 38th goal for the match. Lisa Alexander has experimented a lot with her forward lineup, but this combination tonight of Arnott and Driscoll has been outstanding.
There we see Danny Arnott setting the screen and then taking the ball on the roll.
What can you say if you're the Perth coach, Di McDonald?
Let's go home.
I think there'll be a little dressing down before they leave, but we'll leave that to the privacy of the locker rooms. Now it's Driscoll and Wendy O'Donnell. 5 minutes remaining in the match. Ironmonger is there to gather it for the Perth Orioles. Smart.
Perth, of course, are in the situation where every away game is a long road trip, and I understand that the longest trip, of course, to Brisbane took 8.5 hours this season.
Here's an opportunity for the Orioles to get it together. It was a good pass and good split from Kerry Duff. And she makes a goal.
And just going on with that, to play on the Saturday night, they actually left Perth on the Thursday morning.
Touch on from Nicole Richardson. Play. Still calling for her players to go tight in defence. They do. Richardson is applauded by her coach. Shelley O'Donnell up for that one. It's Paulson. They're struggling in attack, the Orioles. And virtually handed to Shelley O'Donnell. Richardson, O'Donnell.
offside, free pass.
Ironmonger just closing up the space there on the baseline. This time gets a touch on it, chased by Arnott.
Barney construction. Throw in.
And it's come off Tanya Driscoll. Kestrels led 17-9 at the first quarter break and 37-18 at half-time. And 53-26 at the three-quarter break. Their most comprehensive victory of the season easily so far, and they've reversed the round 7 result where Perth defeated them by 6 goals. And this will take Perth's win-loss record this season to 6-8. In fact, it's 5-9. It's a correction there. Chelsea Waveney Senior, in fact, making the pass in to Annette Paulson.
In a situation like this, Bridget, when the game is so one-sided, the momentum is severely against you, it's quite difficult to read anything of substance into it, into the way the losing team is playing. However, one of the things I think we'll see from Perth next year is the capacity to play, to adapt their style to whatever they're presented with. They are at their best in the one-on-one contests all over the court. Melbourne has presented something different to them tonight, the all-court zone or down-court zone, and they haven't mastered it tonight, but I think that's one of the things we'll see from them as they gain experience at this level.
Well, it is an inexperienced lineup. Just 19-year-old Annette Paulson. Now the Kestrels through Driscoll. Bounces straight through the hands of Shelley O'Donnell. Kathleen Smart, Paulson. Minute 30 remaining in the match. And in back play, down goes Peter Kennedy. Has certainly been the standout defender tonight for the Melbourne Kestrels. She can smile. Just copped a bit of a knee, I think, from Kerry Duff, and it went through to Paulson, who popped in the goal. That was her 14th of the match. And that Tanya Driscoll's 41st goal.
Near the transverse line. Yep.
Contacts against Nicole Richardson. Waveney Senior, the captain of the Orioles.
Contact, goalkeeper.
One of the things that has been obvious and impressed me tonight has been Waveney Senior's ability to think through the forward line. I believe she's been one of the people who has adapted the best to what's been presented to her.
She's certainly been able to penetrate that defence from the Kestrels, and I guess the experience that she has under her belt has helped her along in that regard. Now it's her goal shooter, Kerry Duff. 12 from 17. She's improved her shooting stats on the time that she's been on. She's played the second half. Underarm pass fired in from Wendy O'Donnell to Driscoll. That's goal number 70, and the feet stamping starts. The match is over. The Kestrels finish their season with 3 wins on the board, but this match tonight, an absolute annihilation of the Perth Orioles. They led at every change, 70 goals to 35. The Melbourne Kestrels wrapped this match up at home at the Waverley Netball Centre over the Perth Orioles. Shelley O'Donnell, their captain, applauding her team. And it may have been a little bit of a disappointing season for the Kestrels, but tonight a consummate performance from them. The stats all going their way. Penalties 52 against the Orioles, plays 19. Intercepts not so much in that, but still going the way of the Kestrels. The Orioles, they gave away 21. compared to 16. The Kestrel shooters on fire tonight, 70 from 84. The Orioles on the other side of the coin shooting 35 from 52. One of the stars for the Kestrels tonight was their captain, Shelley O'Donnell.
Shelley O'Donnell, congratulations to you personally on the terrific game. You've been in New Zealand playing test match against New Zealand for the Australian team. How did you recover for this game?
Well, it was pretty hard actually because we only got home late last night, so I had a day off work today and I've just been sort of resting up, but you never know, you think you're feeling okay and you never know how you're going to go until you get out there, and it was pretty hard on the legs. I was a bit tired, but it was a good win. We had a great win.
It was a good win, and it wasn't reflective of a team that's only had 3 wins this season. What's been the turning point for the Kestrels?
I just think that we've been working really hard. Obviously, we've had some real shockers during the season, and then we've had some really good games where we've played really well and not being able to win. I think that we've been working hard on playing 4 full quarters of consistent netball, and you know, finishing off like this is fantastic. To beat Perth, who have played really well all year, to beat them by 35, it's just fantastic.
And it is the end of the season for you now. What have been the highlights of this season for you?
Well, let's see. Obviously, the highlight being the match the other night. I mean, that was just sensational to play against New Zealand in New Zealand.